We moved in together after 2 months of dating into a 500 square foot studio apartment. And we're not here to tell you whether you should or shouldn't move in with someone, but we do think that these 5 things are something that you should consider if you're thinking about doing so. What's up, and welcome back to Smiths on Demand. We're here with another couch conversation. And we're talking about 5 things that you should consider if you are thinking about moving in with someone. These are things that we had to learn the hard way through our own experiences, and we're super excited to share them with you.
Number one is, why are you doing it? It should be out of intention and not just about convenience. And I always say that it's about the primary reason. Like, you should see a future with the person that you're choosing to move in with. Because if you just are looking for somebody to help split the bills, you can just get a roommate. That could be a best friend, that could be a brother, that could be a cousin. Some people is their mama and daddy. But it could be a plethora of different people if you're just trying to cut costs and be with somebody conveniently for primarily a money standpoint. But if you're trying to go into something to be intentional with somebody and you're saying we're moving in together to get a jump start on our relationship and to get ahead of the curve, we know we have all these different things from engagement and wedding that we kind of got to line up, that takes planning, but we want to make this step to kind of give ourselves a head start on the life we want for each other. Then I suggest that that is probably the better way of doing it versus just trying to split bills. Because once you're in that living together arrangement, you signing leases and doing all those things, it makes it a lot more messy if it's somebody that you'll end up breaking up with in a few months.
Yeah, in a normal case, I think dating for 2 months is way too early to move in with somebody. Luckily, and thank God, it worked out for us just fine. But
Yeah.
it is something that, when it came down to our situation, I had moved from a different state. We were dating. He was intentionally courting me and dating me for months leading up into that. We had a great friendship, a great relationship. And had we not have moved in together, we wouldn't have started our business together. Dre wouldn't have retired and left his corporate job. And so many people have things to say about, well, why were you guys living together before being married? We have our reasons. But again, it's about you, and you have to look at your situation, and the other things that we're going to talk about in the next 3 to 4 steps are going to help you find clarity on whether it is the right step for you to take or not.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. Like, we talk about this on this channel all the time, is that it's just you guys at the end of the day. So you have to make the decision that's best for you two, regardless of what people on the outside think.
Number 2 is the living arrangement. This is so important. Are you moving into that person's home? Are they moving into your home? Or are you guys getting a place together? In our situation, it was me moving into Dre's home, and we had to have a lot of conversations around what that looked like so that it didn't turn into this epic failure. It was, how can he make the space feel just as much as mine, even though it wasn't technically mine to start with? Because I've seen a lot of couples who have this situation where it's like, soon as the argument happens, it's like, well, get out, this is my place, right? And you can't go into it with that mentality. In our situation, what we did was we talked about like what things we could change in the apartment for it to feel like it was my space too. As y'all know, I'm a woman, I have more things, right? We had one closet to share, one bathroom to share. It was a tiny space, and the way that he had the apartment set up was that in the like studio area, that's where the bed was, and then the den was like his office, creative workspace, TV room, I don't know, like his man cave. And once I moved in, we actually switched it and we made the den be the separate bedroom space, and then we created the main living space as our living space. And we had to divvy up every drawer, every corner, crook and cranny to say, this is where your things are going to go, this is where my things are going to go. And you have to compromise on aesthetic, right? Like, you can't just come into someone's home and just overtake everything with your design aesthetic. You have to find a good compromise, which was a little hard for us at the beginning, but we did it. So it's really important to have those conversations.
Yeah, I would say that just understand, no matter what side you're on, that it's hard for both sides. That
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you think, oh, I'm coming into your space, so it's harder for me to adjust because it's your space and I have to make the adjustment. But they have to make an adjustment too, because they originally got the space that they had, planning out every single section of what that space would do, how it will be utilized. So now with you coming in, they have to make the adjustment and figure out, like, okay, how do I have this person in my home but still make it feel like it's something for me? But then also on the flip side, coming in is a challenge because they don't want to overstep. They don't want to feel like they're kicking you out of your space or making it not your space or be an inconvenience. So it's definitely tough on both sides, and it takes time because as you're moving in, you have to understand your relationship is still growing. So you might have that feeling like, yeah, I really want to be with this person for the rest of my life, but this is also another step in the journey. So it's like you might have been at like 65% sure, but living together could either drop that percentage or raise that percentage. So sometimes the adjustments that you want to make in that home, especially if you're moving in with somebody, you have to do those gradually versus trying to do that straight from the beginning. Because as your relationship grows and it feels like, oh, this is really my long-term partner, then you'll be like, oh, okay, I don't mind giving up space and making this feel like this is our space. So it's important to do that. But the best case is if you can choose a place together, then it always helps because then you plan out the space together and have each other's needs in mind.
Yeah, so make sure to have those conversations beforehand.
The next thing is financial roles and responsibilities. And I know a lot of people will be like, you shouldn't be moving together. You're acting like you're married. If you're in a household together, you have to think of the household as a whole, right? And there's a financial aspect of paying the bills, but there's also upkeep when it comes to the home. And if somebody is doing one thing, somebody else has to pull their weight on the other side. It could be you both are doing things 50-50. We know that's the whole relationship conversation 50-50, who should do what, but it's important to talk about all the responsibilities that come with taking care of this home both financially and actually in person.
And I feel like when you're dating someone, if you're at the stage where you're thinking of moving in with them, by that point you should kind of know naturally what your guys' roles are going to be, but you don't want to assume. That's why having the conversations is important. For example, in the dating phase, if one of you is constantly coming to the other person's house and they're the one who normally cooks the meals, right? And after you cook the meals, they're the ones that like wash the dishes. That would give you kind of an inkling of like, when we live together, I'll probably do most of the cooking and you'll do the cleaning up the dishes after. But again, assuming that is silly business. You want to have conversations and ask and say, what do you feel comfortable doing in the household in regards to like roles and responsibilities? Let's talk about chores. How are you with keeping a space clean? Do you do laundry every week, or is it every other week or once a month? How often do you wash your bedding? Like stuff like that is so important because it has to do with your day-to-day lifestyle. For Dre and I, our roles and responsibilities have changed every season. We constantly check in and we make our roles and responsibilities based on what's happening in our lives. When Dre started working a job and I was retiring the business to focus on starting a family, I was doing all the cooking, all the cleaning, because he was just handling finances and like working. And that worked great. And then we had a situation where it kind of flopped. And it's like, hey, actually, you cook the meals, I'll clean the dishes, and then we'll handle all of the house duties 50-50 because we're both working at full time, you know? So everything changes, but communication is key. And again, you don't want to get into that apartment or into that home and then be going through your day to day life and realizing that someone's not holding their weight if it was something that was never communicated to them. So set up these plans, have these conversations beforehand, and it'll give you a little bit of a cushion for when you guys move in and actually start to put the plan into action.
And also, if somebody has a responsibility, don't be spiteful either. Like, if you have a chance to help make their load easier, if their responsibility is the dishes and the clean, and you're looking like, I could put this in the dishwasher, but that's not my responsibility. I'm just gonna throw it in the sink. It's like, why do that? Like, even though it's not your responsibility, like, be nice. Like, Bree does it all the time. When it was my responsibility, it got so bad that it just became hers because we don't have to take it to the corner or anything. But it's like she has a certain way that she likes the trash to be taken out, to where I would probably wait till the end of the week or something like that to do it. But even when it was my responsibility, she would look at it and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna take it to the trash because I'm walking out the door or because I see it and I can just do it versus being like, hey, get in here right now, get the trash. It's like, if you can do it, then take the load off. And if you do that to the other person, guess what? They'll typically do that for you.
Yeah.
So it's a whole full circle thing that you got to remember. Four is intimacy and space. And I guarantee you, when you move in with somebody, your relationship will change. The intimacy will change because there's this illusion that because you guys are physically closer, that will make you guys closer from an intimate standpoint, when actually it doesn't, because mystery is always great when it comes to intimacy in a relationship. We see that when the pandemic happened and we saw a lot of people getting divorced because they ain't never spent that much time with each other in the same place at the same time, always around each other. I know you have been in a relationship with this person for however long you've been in a relationship. I know you guys have slept over each other's place multiple times, but there's something different when you actually live with somebody. Every single moment, every single hair that's left on the sink, every single smudge or trash that's left on the counter, or like you can't escape any of that. All their times that they get annoyed or distracted or angered, frustrated, like you are there for all of it. So it definitely changes your relationship. So it's important to understand the difference between being close but also learning when to give yourself and each other space.
This makes me think about bathrooms. I feel like bathrooms should have been its own point on itself because if you're sharing a bathroom, that is a major thing to consider. I highly recommend getting a two-bedroom, two-bathroom at minimum because, oh, if you have separate bathrooms, it just makes life so much easier.
You know, I thought about that and I was like, when we get our house, because right now we luckily live in a two-bedroom. We're not in our 552 square foot apartment anymore where we were sharing a bathroom, but now we have our own separate bathrooms.
Love it.
And I'm like, when we get a house, like we're gonna have to custom do something
We're gonna have
because
our own bathrooms.
we're gonna have.
We have to.
I'm okay if we share a bathroom as far as room, like it's a big bathroom, but like separate toilets, separate sinks, separate shower heads. Like we gotta have our own space because it's kind of almost like I know for me, the bathroom is kind of like a zen, kind of relaxing place sometimes, or you can go to. It's truly like a restroom, what they call it, like a place to take the load off, no pun intended. Um, so it's like everybody likes to chill different. When I take showers, I like to listen to sports and podcasts, and that would drive her insane
Yes.
if we had to be in the same space together.
I do
So,
not want to hear that.
but go ahead, your
But
bathroom part.
it's also like thinking of having conversations around like what time do they wake up? What time do they go to sleep? What is their morning and night routine? Like for
Yeah,
example, I do not like waking up to an alarm. The beep, beep, no, not happening. I need to wake up to a song. I need to wake up gently. I need to wake up slowly. And Dre doesn't even want to be talked to in the morning. He's like, "Don't talk to me until after I prayed, read my book, and like took my
worked
morning
out a
walk."
little
Like,
bit.
you know, so you have to know. And if you're not living with someone, you might not know every intricate moment of like their normal routines because you might be spending the night on weekends and not actually seeing them actively through their week, Monday to Friday type of routine. And if those routines are combative or if they compete against each other, it can be really hard to live with one another. So, another thing to consider and to talk about before making that decision.
Yeah, and the romance is a huge part of it. It just naturally dies when you move in together. And it's not even indicative of your actual relationship. You just got to think about it. When you live separately, you can say like, "Hey, let's go out." That person's getting dressed up, they're showering. So when you meet them out, they're done up, they look good. You're like, "Dang, you look good." You know, everybody's feeling good, but when you're at home, it's like you're going from dusty and busty and
Dusty
bummy,
and busty.
dusty and
I
busty.
said crusty in my head.
Dusty and crusty, I like that. You're going from dusty and crusty to getting looking good together, right? So you're seeing all the elements of that, and also the closeness. Like when you are with somebody all the time, you can feel like, you know, I need my space. So you don't like
Dre just told me before we started filming this is why it's so funny that I need to stop telling him about nasty stuff. Like if I have a funny looking poop and I want to tell him about it, he'd be like, "That's too much. Just crossing the line." I'm like, "What do you mean? Who else am I supposed to talk to about this?"
because you learn that the close like the mystery is alluring. It makes
I think it's fun.
for things that are like it makes it attractive to like when there is some type of mystery in your relationship, studies have shown.
Oh, okay.
So it's important to keep that mystery and that romance in your relationship, and you got to work hard on it because what you typically do a lot less when you are living together is dating one another. Like we had to make that adjustment. Now as a married couple, we'll go out and do things or like, hey, let's get a bite to eat. But you got to think about it when you're living separate, the times of where you do actually meet up with each other is probably out, is done up, is planning the day to spend some time with each other and what you're going to do. So you kind of lose some of that when you move in together. So it's just about being more mindful of it once you move in together. Create the space, hang out with your friends, do stuff separately so that when you come together, it feels special.
Yeah, and that's the other layer of it is just being intentional about still dating and courting outside of the house.
Yeah.
Number 5 is conflict and communication. If you are already arguing often, having disputes often, having misunderstandings, miscommunication often, and you aren't living together, it's most likely only going to get worse. So it is very important to make sure that you have a healthy form of communication. Make sure, if you guys haven't already checked out the video, what is it called?
Where we talk about the number one mistake that couples make.
Yeah. If you guys haven't already checked out this video, take a look because it is all about communication. But this is a big, 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 big one. You can't just move in with someone and then be figuring out communication. I think that it will make the relationship 10 times harder. I'm gonna let Dre take the lead on this because he had to be very patient with me in our communicative journey, I would say. But specifically when it comes to communicating about the things that take place in, your household and under your roof is major.
Yeah, I used to be a property manager back in the day, and I can tell you, I got a lot of noise complaints from people, and that's mainly because couples arguing. You could hear it through the walls of people yelling at each other and screaming at each other and getting upset at each other. And that's one of the hard things because typically there is no escape. It's like if you have an issue, you kind of got to deal with it. It's not a hang up of a phone. It's not a leave, I'm going home. It's like, oh, this is my home and this is your home. We kind of got to deal with it together. And even if you're trying to avoid somebody, you're like passively aggressively doing things because you can't really avoid them, and sometimes even the sight of them makes you upset, so even seeing them you're just like and it's like, why you what's the what's that for, like what you, and you're not even trying to do something, it's just hard to avoid. So it's important to understand each of your communication styles and also come together and figure out how you're going to deal with certain things. And what we had talked about before from a communication standpoint is really trying to plan out things. Like we talked about roles and responsibilities. We talked about the intimacy things and making sure you're giving each other space. Like having a communication and conversation about those things are so important because if you're clear on those things, they can help avoid a lot of arguments that you have that you could have in the future. Because I know that that was one of our things. If we probably would have communicated better early on, then we would have had a better relationship when it came to us arguing about different things within the home. And a lot of times too, what you'll find out is that a lot of stuff don't be a big deal. Like there's a lot of things, and either if you live together with somebody now, or if you're thinking about it, there are going to be a lot of things that you don't care about, but you're just going to stand 10 toes down because you felt like you were unfairly treated or didn't get your way about something else. But you know in your mind, you don't care if it's on the left or on the right. You don't care if it's black or gold or silver, but you're just upset because you didn't feel like you didn't get your way with the last thing in the house. Just relax. And if you really don't care about something, then just be honest and be like, you can do that or choose that. And typically, if that person loves you, those things are reciprocated. Let's do kind things, and then we get kind things in return. It's a thing where they say, reap what you sow. Let's sow kindness and grace, and then we should get that in return if that person loves us.
Yeah, if you're thinking of moving in with someone, I think you should take the school approach, right? Like how you would have fire drills. You would go through this method of like if a fire were to happen, this is where we go, this is the route that we take, this is how long we wait, this is who you follow, find a buddy. You have a plan for in case this thing happens. I think so often people just go into making decisions and they don't talk about the what ifs. And talking about the what ifs isn't being negative and saying that you're assuming these things are going to happen. It's being smart and really filling up your toolbox with the tools that you need to solve a problem if that problem should occur. So,
Yep.
anything else about moving in together?
No, just like Bree said, whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it, that's up to you. We did it. It was just our journey. It made sense for us in the moment. It was extremely tough and challenging for us to figure it all
I
out,
would say
especially at the
extremely.
it was.
Sheesh.
It was extremely tough because we were still young. We were still trying
I
to
enjoyed
figure
myself.
it out.
Okay.
It was young love, so that we were blinded by that, which made it a lot more romanticized. But it was still 500 square feet moving in with two people. At this stage in our lives, as mature as we are, it would be very, very challenging for us to go back to that and still be good. So just take the time. You guys love each other. Make the decision together. Make sure it's the right decision for you all in your relationship, regardless of what anybody has to say, and be mindful of the things we share.
And lastly, if you're moving in with someone and you are deciding to abstain from sex like we did, we have a video where we talk about how we lived together for 4 years with no sex, so make sure to check out that video as well.
Yep.
As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time.
See y'all later.